From the mysterious statues of Sierra Leone to the Dogon tribe of Mali and the Babylonian worship of Dagon to the Japanese stories of dragons and the curious Dogu figures. According to ancient astronaut theorists, there are eerie similarities between ancient cultures that indicate they were all visited by the same extraterrestrial beings from Sirius B.
If there were beings from the Sirius star system, they may have come for a short period of time. They may have been harvesting metals. They may have been harvesting genetic material, and then they go.
But is there any physical evidence? For some, the presence of a chromium sphere inside a statue estimated to be 17,000 years old, and ancient figurines that appear to depict spacesuits are proof enough. But could there also be actual artifacts from another world? Among the people of Sierra Leone, local legend has it that when their Nomoli gods fell from heaven, part of the sky turned to stone and rained down with them.
These strange blue stones called sky stones have been found with the statues. And at first, archaeologists thought, okay, it's just blue stones. But when they analyzed it, and they couldn't figure out how these had been made too. Although the people in Sierra Leone felt that they were actually pieces of the blue sky that fell with the Nomoli.
If these mysterious blue stones are really connected to the legend of the sky turning to stone and raining down on the Earth with the arrival of the Nomoli, what could they be? Some type of protective covering for an alien spacecraft? Pieces of a heat shield, perhaps, like the tiles that covered the bottom of the space shuttle? And if so, might further scientific examination of them support the idea that the Nomoli were actually extraterrestrial visitors, perhaps from the Sirius star system? Seattle, Washington, March 6, 2019. In search of further evidence that the Nomoli statues may have an extraterrestrial connection, ancient astronaut theorist David Childress has arranged to meet up with sky stone collector and researcher Jared Collins.
Wow.
Jared has in his possession a number of the mysterious blue stones that were found near the statues. Jared has been collecting sky stones since he first heard about them in 2013. He became fascinated by their enigmatic nature, betraying neither obvious mineral nor man-made origin.
So how was it that these stones were actually discovered in modern times?
This was actually discovered in 1991 by a man named David Ledbetter. He was in Sierra Leone on a mining concession looking for gold and diamonds. And when he was having his crew dig, occasionally these stones would appear. And interestingly, David went to the village chief to ask if he'd ever seen any of these stones before. And the chief said that when these stones are found, large amounts of gold and diamonds usually follow shortly thereafter.
What do other geologists say about stones like this? Are they able to identify them?
We've sent these now to 12 different labs. There is not one piece of consensus in here. Everybody has a different opinion. We still don't know, actually, if these are natural or man-made.
So maybe it's from another planet.
I don't know. I really wish I did.
30 miles south of Gallup, New Mexico, lies the pueblo of Zuni. Sheltered from the desolate high plains, this adobe city is home to the Zuni Indians, one of the oldest indigenous tribes in North America. They have inhabited this land for almost 2,000 years and have protected their secrets even longer.
The Zuni are a very interesting culture in that they're one of the few cultures that really have not opened up to the rest of the world about their star knowledge traditions. Most of this type of information is very closely held by the natives. And I really find it very intriguing that this is the time period in history where now we're starting to learn more and more about their star knowledge.
Much of the Zuni people's history is etched in the rocks in the New Mexico desert. Tribal elder Clifford Mahudi and archaeologist Dan Simplicio have studied the Zuni's secret history firsthand. They've collected stories passed down through generations that are rooted in the belief that the tribe's creators and protectors are supernatural beings from the sky.
This one's kind of interesting here. I would imagine it was created in last century, but on this design, you can see the star figure. Celestial images oftentimes are depicted in a lot of our cultural petroglyphs, and this is one of them where it depicts the star. It could be the supernova of the Crab Nebula.
Our Zuni mythology in the prayer system, in the ritualistic protocols, talk about these people that came over here and told us how to actually live our lives as being sky people. If you listen to a lot of religious chants and songs and prayers, that's all they talk about. They're talking about space, they're talking about out there in the universe where they came from, so they depict it on a rock wall here. But the actual meaning of it is somewhere more profound and more complex than that.
These drawings are thought to have been created around 1200 BC, yet they appear to depict modern space travelers and their vehicles.
If you move back a little bit, you can see another figure here. It has a dome, has eyes. There's something coming down.
And a nose.
Like a nose through the nose, but it kind of flares out.
I think it was something to do with the ancient ones when they saw something. They took as much description of it to put it on there. Of course, it's not going to be exactly what they saw, but that's as best as they can do for something that they saw.
With all petroglyphs and things like that, I mean, they're up to interpretation. Sometimes they're just doodlings of people, but other times they may well be actual descriptions and depictions of some kind of god from outer space, some ancient astronaut. And when you go around, say, like the Zuni Pueblo, I mean, that's what they'll tell you those petroglyphs are. Even the Zunis themselves call them the spacemen.
This one seems to have two legs coming out like that. It has a broad, diamond-shaped body. There probably was a bitter head that chipped off here. That's very different looking than humans are.
Now, usually they're called UFOs, but in the Zuni way, we've always been taught that they're the keepers of the upper world, which means space. Now, they're sky people, beings that are of the extraterrestrial origin. And this is still within our mythology and our religious practices today.
Val Camonica, Italy, June 13th, 2019. Ancient astronaut theorist William Henry has traveled to this UNESCO World Heritage Site to investigate the area's mysterious petroglyphs.
Hi, I'm William.
Hi, I'm Luca. Nice to meet you.
Joining him is Luca Giarelli, the head of the Val Camonica Historical and Anthropological Society.
This place is massive.
Yeah, it's very big, and the rock car covers all that area. Are you ready for a hike?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm here at Val Camonica because it is a treasure trove of images from the ancient world that have been well documented and studied by scholars. They don't agree on the meaning of the images, but some of them are very open-minded to the ancient astronaut theory.
Luca leads William to an area with a panel of ancient petroglyphs that appears strikingly familiar to modern eyes.
Here we are. Wow. What we have here? We have this one, this figure,
Oh, look at that.
the spaceman.
Spaceman, exactly.
Yeah,
Look at the helmet.
astronaut. Look at the helmet.
Right. It's like he's glowing.
Yeah. And the Camonica rose.
The communion rose.
It's a strange and mysterious symbol with 9 dots. Was made probably on the first millennium before Christ.
Wow.
Archaeologists call this mysterious object the communion rose because of its flower-like shape, while its exact meaning is lost to history. Some believe it to be a religious symbol or a representation of the movement of the stars. But ancient astronaut theorists suggest it might also depict something else, the vessel that brought these helmeted figures to Val Camonica.
Look at that. That looks like a spaceship. It's like you'd look up in the sky and you would see this kind of twirling, spinning ship in the sky. It seems to me, just looking at it, they're trying to talk about beings coming from other worlds, maybe to this place.
It could be an interpretation.
Tell me about that 5-pointed star.
We have a lot of 5-point star here on this rock, but we don't know what they meaning when they did this particular geometric shape.
Sometimes the stars mean energy, like energy from the stars would come to this place, where star beings would come to this place.
Yeah, it could be an interpretation. We have a lot of mystery about the meaning of the engravings here in Val Camonica. We have a different motivation, religious, mythological, and also describing events.
Okay.
So
this is like a newspaper then. It says this was in the sky above us at some point, and this spaceman came down and maybe met the communion people.
it could be.
According to ancient stories, the nearby city of Turin was founded by a character from Greek mythology called Phaeton, who came to Earth from the stars.
Legend states that Turin was founded by the god Phaeton, who is a son of the sun god Helios. And in the myth of Phaeton, we learn the story of how he descended to Earth in a fiery chariot, perhaps crashing into Mount Musini.
This also led to something fortuitous because he brought gifts to this place. He had great skills, was a metallurgist, and taught this to the local people.
When we look at myths such as the myth of Phaeton, here is really the story of a UFO landing on a mountain and interacting with the locals.
When we look behind this myth of Phaeton, perhaps this is what we're also seeing at Val Camonica. I think given the connection with the spacemen that are etched into the rock, we have to be open to the possibility that what the ancient artist is trying to portray is something that he actually saw in the sky, something coming out of the heavens.
Mali, in northwest Africa. Deep in a remote valley live the Dogon people, who are the descendants of a nomadic tribe that settled here around 1000 AD. Just like Akhenaten's followers, the Dogon had been forced to leave Egypt because of religious persecution.
The Dogon claim a very long and ancient tradition, and in my opinion, maintain some of the ancient Egyptian traditions and myths that have been carried on right into the present age. Parts of ancient Egypt may not have died. They were carried on to this day among the Dogon.
But what exactly are their beliefs? Dogon mythology holds that the sky god Amma created the first living creature, known as Namo. The legend also says that shortly after his creation, Namo multiplied into several parts, one of which rebelled against Amma. Amma responded by destroying him. and scattering his ashes throughout the world.
According to the Dogon myths, a god gave them this knowledge. He descended from the sky in an ark surfing on fire and landed in a storm.
Still today, Dogon celebrates a festival in the honor of Namo and that visitation that occurred in the remote past. How do we know this? For this festival, they have wooden masks that date back to a very long time ago when this festival began.
Dogon masks tell the mystic stories of their ancestors. This is a sculpture of the creator. They call him Amma. He's embracing the universe. This is how they pass on information from generation to generation, by stories carved in masks.
But could Namo have been a real person? Some see eerie similarities between the Dogon's legend and the story of the mysterious pharaoh Akhenaten. Akhenaten believed he was directly descended from the sun god Aten. Namo was said to have been created by the sky deity Amma. Is it a coincidence that both cultures, although thousands of miles apart, shared mythical tales of beings coming from the skies? And both Namo and Akhenaten were depicted with elongated heads. Is it possible that these legends were based on real events?
The Dogon dwell in the central plateau region of Bandiagara. Their knowledge is centuries old, and their priests have been sharing it with chosen individuals only. In the 1920s, French anthropologist Griel and ethnologist Dieterlen visited the tribe and were invited to share their secrets.
But one secret stood out. The Dogon claimed that their god Amma came from a specific star in the Sirius constellation, the same place where the ancient Egyptians believed their god Osiris was born. This star, which modern astronomers refer to as Sirius B, the Dogon called Potolo. But what baffles experts is that the star is so far from Earth, it's impossible to see with the naked eye.
I was very intrigued by this, by the way. I mean, the Dogons should not have known about the existence of this star. Sirius is the second nearest star from our solar system. It's 8 light years away. In fact, it's not even visible with standard telescopes. It was first seen, literally seen, and photographed in the 1970s.
Modern science has corroborated that Sirius B does indeed exist. Problem is, the Dogon knew about this before modern science corroborated it. I mean, that's spooky.
Measurements taken with the Hubble telescope in 2003 have confirmed that Sirius B is what's known as a white dwarf, or a partially burnt-out star with extremely dense mass. Although it is smaller in size than Earth, it's estimated to weigh 8 times as much as our Sun. But how did the Dogon acquire this ancient knowledge of astronomy that seems to be centuries more advanced than that of modern science?
The mystery is, how did this story get passed on down generations? If the story came from a time before astronomers knew there was a companion star to Sirius, which can't be seen with the human eye.
This is the Dogon symbol for Sirius. When you move it around, you can see an orbit around the center, marked by Sirius A. Sirius B circles around it, so it is a circular system. This sign is practically an astronomical model that the Dogon could not have invented because only Sirius A is visible. Sirius B and C are invisible. However, their description of the orbit is correct. One assumption is that this god, Namo, who brought them this knowledge, could have been an extraterrestrial intelligence.